All right, a little sloppy at the end there, but that's swinging in good. That's some rockabilly solo stuff. I had a request, someone wanted me to talk about note selection, or scales rather, for playing over this style of music. Now it's all based on the history of jazz, swing, a touch of country, rock and roll. You know, try to work in a little bit of everything for the example solo. And I'm going to go through it chorus by chorus now, slowly, and talk about note choice in creating some of these licks that really have a lot of chromatic moves inside of them too, so that I want to show you that the scales are kind of flexible. So we find sort of the basic starting point for a scale and then need to fill in notes in order to get the rhythm right. So that's kind of the key to this whole style of playing. Anyway, please go to the info box below, join us, follow and like on Facebook so that you can see what new videos are coming up. And there's also a link to get a PDF for $4 to get the PDF for the solo with a longer lessons, scales, diagrams, and stuff in that PDF. And of course, like us here on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching. Here we go. So in section 1, I just started out with a real basic blues lick kind of thing. But again, note choice is going to be important here. All right, so this is just really based around that E chord, E major being this little top triad here, okay? Or dyad really. Okay, and if you start from the minor and bend up into it, you get that little choo-choo train lick that everybody knows. Okay, the key here is that the first time around, play it so that you're not hinting yet at the E7, which is going to be coming up. So you play then the root, 5th, the major 6th, and then the root. Okay, and then do the lick again. Okay, now we get the dominant 7th in there. Root, 5th, dominant 7th, root. Okay, and then that leads your ear wanting to hear that there, which is part of A, the coming chord. All right, so that's really important to get in these close approaches to notes, and you'll find that there's not a whole lot of places where you can find that. It's mostly the 3rd moving, or the 7th moving down into the 3rd. Okay, so 3rd's moving to 7th as well. All right, so instead of going right down to here, though, I went. Okay, this is part of your A chord here. You should know your arpeggios and chords. Okay, taking that top part of A, and a cool thing happens. I've talked about this before in other lessons. You slide this A and C sharp note down, and you get G, all right, and B, which wind up being the 9th and the dominant 7th. All right, so you can, or move them down like this. That sounds more country that way, okay? I did that here. So it goes. Okay, with that I'm doing a little bit of hybrid picking here, picking fingers. The rest is all flat picked. Okay, so that's enough time over the A 7th chord. All right, so let me just go over it quick. And then again A. And now we're going to land back on a E. We're going to have a couple pickup notes. Okay, now this is a really cool shape here. This is one that's very Charlie Christian. I did a whole book on his solos, which is something you should also pick up if you're interested in this style. I'll put the link to that on my site below here as well. Charlie Christian is the well to go to for these licks. Here, starting at the, even though it's a pickup note, we're already playing it as if it's an E7, starting at the G sharp, right, the 3rd. Okay, and the first note on the downbeat there in the E7 bar is going to be this F sharp, which gives us an F9 sound. Excuse me, E9 sound. Okay, so this shape here, very easy to get under your fingers. Down, F sharp, D, B, G sharp, F sharp again, E, okay? So that gives you a nice little scalar arpeggio kind of thing. Okay, very cool lick. Okay, now that's right out of the Charlie Christian book. Sort of a little inner resolution to the chord itself by using that A down to G sharp. And then the leading tone. back to E, all right? Okay, it's a cool one to work up to speed. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, very cool sounding lick. Learn it in other positions. On A, it would be. Sorry. Wow. There. Like that. All right. Sorry about that little mess up. Okay, so translate that to other positions and learn to use it over other chords then. You can easily use that one over the A7 in the blues, 12-bar blues progression, which is really what this is. All right, the 5 chord now is the dominant 7th chord, B, dominant 7th chord. Here's the lick that I played over it, and I worked this one out to be able to get in some passing notes here. I want to talk about where those might come from to add to your basic scale. That was the lick, okay? All right, and it resolves to an E chord. All right, now the choice of notes that you have there, your typical major pentatonic scale will get you most of the way there. Root, major 2nd, major 3rd, 5th, major 6th. The dominant 7th, the regular major pentatonic wouldn't have the dominant 7th, but think about that major pentatonic scale and add the dominant 7th in, okay? Now, if you're playing a big 9th, 13th chord like this, that's actually got all those notes in there already represented, leaving the 5th out because we don't have the space for it. But it's really kind of coming from the chord, all right? If you think about it in terms of what chord might you use in this situation, all right? Then that big 13th chord with the 9th in there is the right sound, all right, for this position. So then think about all those notes and you wind up with the scale. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and back to the root. Okay, now in this lick, I want to show you that there's a couple connecting notes that you can get in there. Matter of fact, you can connect just about anything. I'll talk about that more in the PDF. I'll save the space here, but okay, here I got the 5th, raised 5th, so I can get an accent on that 6th there. Okay, and coming back down, I needed another note to kind of get through in order to land on a strong beat here, resolving, okay? If I went, that would have been weird there, okay? So connecting the root down to the dominant 7th via a half step will always work for you, okay? So if you've got to land on a note rhythmically strong and you don't want to just pass over it because you're sticking straight to the basic scale notes, okay, I was getting too much 7th when I kind of started working on the lick there, so I wanted to put the 6th on the way up and get the 7th on the way down. I wanted to get that 6th there and not hit that 7th so much. All right, so that chromatic approach is what kind of helped that out. So don't be afraid to connect those. Just get from, one note that's working good and connect it with a half step. That'll be a little dissonant, but just on that off beat, and then landing on a strong beat again on your chord tone, on your scale tone. All right, so any of that's going to work. It was the same thing as here. Okay, that's another Charlie Christian style lick there. In this case, going from the 9th to the flat 9th and getting on a strong beat back to the root. That's also going to work. Okay, on those strong beats, so tap your foot when you work on those licks and you'll see anything's going to work as long as you're resolving to a strong note on a strong beat after that, okay? So, a little bit rambling there, but let's go on to the next section now and look again at fitting notes over the chords. I forgot to explain the chord stabs that came at the end there. I kind of did that throughout. Now that it kind of occurs to me, I did chord stabs at the end of every chorus. Just kind of fits nicely for rockabilly. It gives you sort of period at the end of the sentence before the next chorus starts. In this case, okay, coming back out of that lick, okay, E ninth, B ninth, okay, and then we move on to the next lick, the beginning of the next chorus through here. And this lick is one that I saw a Merle Travis video, and it just blew me away. It's just a really, really cool idea. That's the one that Merle Travis was doing. It was in okay, in the Cannonball Rag, and then when he's playing through that, somewhere along those lines, and I just sort of adapted it here in eighth note triplets. All right, so like that. It's a really good left-hand exercise, and it's a typical kind of rockabilly thing to do. Is you know, maybe get into these. I did it later, of course. You know, these repetitive things, and this one is just like a slightly different take on that. I thought it might be kind of a fun one to add to your lick vocabulary, and it's just approaching the chord changes by using some open strings and the notes here. We've got this little tritone here that spells out really E7, okay? Okay, the G sharp, E, G sharp, E, and then D and B. Okay, so that really spells out the E7 very nicely there. And then, so it doesn't just keep doing that, I started throwing in the ninth too. And that's very much like that Merle Travis thing. And over the A seventh chord, you're going to be able to sneak that B in there too. It's not going to hurt it because that's the ninth over A. Okay, and get that A in up here too. And then move back to the E. All right, so that one is just more about getting the dexterity up in the left and right hands to kind of work out that lick. The idea is simple. All right, and then coming out of that. Okay, just a really typical kind of old style swing lick there. Okay, and then again another little couple chord stabs to get to the next section. Okay, and that's just way up here, B ninth, and approaching from a half step above. And then we're on to the Chuck Berry-esque kind of thing. Cut in here and keep these sections separate. Okay, the Chuck Berry lick here, up at the 12th fret. Now, this big guitar kind of keeps the palm away there, plus the strings don't bend so well. I've got these flatwounds on here. It's hard to get that wound G string bent up a whole step, so this classic rock and rockabilly lick here, you do the slide, and it gives it a different sound than the bend, too. Okay, and this one, coming out of that lick, there's a walk down here chromatically again. And that was, again, a choice rhythmically, what I needed to get how many notes in there in order to make that lick work and fall on the downbeat of the A, getting that C sharp on the downbeat. Okay, if I hadn't thrown that chromatic thing in there and that extra note here, I would have wound up there too soon at the A chord. That's not working. Okay, that was also too early by an eighth note, which could be cool landing on a pickup and letting the bar come in then. It sounds good if you're then not continuing the line somewhere, but I wanted to put in this rolling A seventh line here as a good example. So okay, it just wants to roll along if you put in enough notes there to keep the line landing right on the strong beat there. So we come out of this the E sounding stuff. And now we're on to all this stuff over A. And this is really, again, a Charlie Christian style lick. And it ends within the whole rolling lick there. It ends by resolving back to E again, which is a cool thing to do, and not just have, you know, a lick that's kind of rolling along on one chord, stop, go to the next chord. This rolls right through. Okay, so all this is based around a scale shape you can think of around sort of like the A9th, the A chord like this. All right, the A string shape of the A chord. All right, so you got chromatic approaches that work really well in here. Okay, all those chromatic passing tones are going to work great in there. You got a lot of notes that are all right, you know, a lot of notes you can just fiddle around with and discover your own licks out of that. Okay, so definitely check that shape out and start working with it. All right, next, again, some chord stabs. This resolves back, and this is a cool chord move. Okay, there's your E 13th with the 9th on top there. Okay, and then we're going to be going to the 5 chord and playing something over that. So move that E 7th chord up a half step. I'm going to give you the F 7th, well, it's 13th, but you know, thinking in terms of it being a dominant 7th chord. Now, what does that F have to do, though, with the 5 chord, the B? Well, that's the flat 5 substitution, and it's the reason why you can always, things always sound good when you're approaching by half steps with this rockabilly chord stuff and this rock and roll and swing chord stuff. So if you look at the shape, okay, we know it with E like this, moving up there. Now put the B on there and try to visualize that. You know, if you can see kind of what that shape becomes here, it's that it becomes B7 sharp 9 really. Okay, so this top structure here with the B on the bottom, you don't need to play it. The bass is going to hit that. All right. Okay, you're going to get that sound of the 7 sharp 9, which is a good spicy dominant chord, and it's actually ahead of the bar. Actually, the 5 chord's not there yet, but that anticipation is what kind of keeps things sounding cool and rolling along. And then I ended this with the classic swing lick of all time. Okay, and here again, more chromatic tones in between. Okay, B, 3rd, 4th, flat 5, and the 5. Back to the minor 3rd to the major 3rd. And then the root, the dominant 7th, 5th, root. Okay, and then I started going down the E here. Let's just go through it slow. And then that last little bit, E, and then came all the way down to this B there, which is just a brief hint of the 5 chord again before that ended the last chorus here. All right, so with these little passing tones all over the place here over the B, I think we're pretty much wound up to show you that you can use any note. Let's think about licks. Let's transpose this one to B here now to wrap this all up. Now that we did originally down on E down there, take it up here to B. Okay, 3rd, the minor 3rd. Okay, Charlie Christian would play that one there too. Okay, with the approach 9th, flat 9th, and into the root. Okay, so there you've got your on top of your usual suspects. You got your minor third, your minor second. Here we had the raised fifth. Okay, there, raised fifth. Here, the flat fifth. So we've got our major and minor third, a major and minor second, our fifth, the flat fifth, and the raised fifth. And we've also walked through the seventh and the flat seventh. So we've got all 12 tones of the chromatic scale were at some point played over the B7 chord. Now, it's not played all in one run as a scale, but they will all fit, and it all depends on where you put them in. All right. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's given you some food for thought to go searching for your own licks. Please be sure to like us on the video here, give us a thumbs up, and also follow on Facebook, like Joe Doc Music on Facebook, and pick up the Charlie Christian method from joedocmusic.com as well if you really dig these kind of licks. You'll have a whole well of the Charlie Christian licks. You pick your favorites out of that. I have a few that I kind of worked into my vocabulary especially, and you'll be sure to find other ones. There's 10 solos there, so tons of very cool stuff. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and see you next time around.